Welcome back to the Crypto Rainn channel. I'm your host, Jay Murph. Now, it's exciting times in crypto, and I've been waiting for this year for 3 years. And as you probably already know, crypto tends to run in 4-year cycles. The year after what's called the Bitcoin halving, it tends to go really, really good. And this is that year. And so it's exciting times to be here in crypto, as well as the timing as far as within the cycle is good. There's many new projects that are coming that are going to revolutionize the way many things are done. And I have 2 of those projects on with us today. Now, I've spoken about them in the past. This was just a good opportunity for them to introduce to you what they have done that's really amazing. If you're a Cardano and Cardano Ecosystem fan, you're going to love what they've done. So let me bring them in. All right, I've got Ken here from Meld, and you probably know Ken, and Lucas from Finance, which I've been talking about, which is an up-and-coming launchpad on Cardano. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here, Jay.
Yeah, now you have partnered together to do something pretty amazing. I Most people don't know this, so who wants to break the news?
So I'll start because I think a sort of pretext is important. So what we're doing is we've partnered with Vent. Vent had a very, very interesting project brewing already, and they came to us and asked us if we were interested in working on it together. And when they told us what it was, it was like a match made in heaven. So we had to say yes. So with that, Lucas.
Yeah, I think maybe we can give a bit of an intro on ourselves, because we haven't had the chance yet to be on the channel, but we've been working within the Cardano space for about 4 months. In April, we started Vent and the wider ecosystem around our launchpad to kind of simplify the way that projects raise funds and how they grow. So first, you need to go through a funding procedure, whether it's an IDO, an ISPO, like Meld has gone through, and you need someone to partner to do that with. And that's the partner that we're trying to become for the Cardano space. We created a platform that's very, very simple and accessible for people to use. It's fully compliant with KYC and AML regulations, and it must come a bit of a surprise because I understand that a lot of the audience here is from the US. So we're also working on not only getting accredited investors, but what can be done to kind of make it as inclusive as possible. So with that in mind, we came out in April and started working on some prototypes, on the interface aspect, the business model behind it, and then we kind of came to the conclusion that, oh shit, we still can't build anything on Cardano because we didn't have smart contracts, and we wanted to create something tangible that we could test. And we kind of said, what can we do? And all of the other players in this space were doing Ethereum, so we said, okay, maybe that's the best way to do it. And very quickly we got negative response from the community that said, you can't pay a $75 gas fee for a small transaction for $1,000, right? That's way too much. And so we said we need to find a solution. And after a few months, we have something live on Polygon, which is a layer 2 solution. It allows gas fees to be very low. It's very aligned with the feedback and the vision that Cardano has. And that's kind of the best situation that we found between both of these spaces. And we found like a great community between these two. But it comes with a dilemma, which is, okay, now you're on 2 chains. How do you connect them, right? And that's kind of the problem that we faced. And when we sat down, we said, okay, is there any tooling available? And there was nothing there. So we said, why don't we build that tooling? And we met Meld and we started building this bridge. And so literally we built a bridge between ADA and Matic. And so the bridge is called ADA Matic. This isn't rocket science. Well, it is a bit, but that's kind of what we're building. And I'll let Ken, give a bit more context to what we're building.
Yeah, so that's sort of the starting point. So we have a Polygon Cardano bridge that we're working on together. Our sort of engagement or interest in this is capital efficiency. We came onto Cardano because it's a very capital efficient blockchain. You can do a lot of transactions very quickly, very cheaply. The same is the case with Polygon. And so it was kind of a match made in heaven. It made complete sense for us to do this. And so now we're working with several partners in regards to the development, and the sort of core development is between Polygon, Vent, and Meld.
Exactly.
Exciting times. Love the way you decide to go with that, Lucas, because you're right. A lot of launch pads, even that plan to be on Cardano, are currently raising on the Ethereum chain, and it's terrible that sometimes you get a $150 allocation and you'll burn $90 in gas fees. So essentially you paid $240 for a $150 allocation. And so they lose a lot of gains, especially your newer investors that don't have a lot of seed funds. So it's amazing what you've done so that they can essentially participate on Polygon now, but then later those tokens and other things can be bridged right over to Cardano because you built the bridge.
I think you touched on a good point there as well, which is that like the scalability aspect of it. You said for certain investors, and then you said maybe they're like newer investors that are coming to this space. This is really the early beginning. So if, like, I mean, I loved ETH at the time, and I think that the concept and what they advanced and evolved as a like a second generation blockchain was fantastic. But we have to be realistic that we're going to expect a lot more users to come to the space, right? And you know, it's going to be beneficial for everyone. So if it's already kind of, you know, quite complicated to build stuff and build dApps on Ethereum, then unless there's a, you know, big revolutionary change that might happen, it might not. It's just going to be impossible to scale. And that's what, you know, all of these roll-up solutions are for. That's what the L2s are for. And that's what Cardano is for eventually, right? And so we're kind of building this bridge for a very clear connection. We really believe that, you know, interoperability will happen, and we're just enabling protocols on both sides of the equation to leverage their liquidity, respective liquidity, but also kind of create an ecosystem that's very open. You know, this isn't proprietary technology where it's like, no, this is just the vent bridge or the melt, you know, bridge. And I guess that kind of connects to our, you know, the next big message that Ken will also like to mention on is this is a community project, right? And maybe do you want to explain what that means when we say community, Ken?
Well, I mean, our core premises are around trustless, decentralized, and non-custodial, and so it just makes sense for us to work there and work with that. You know, I come from ETH. I come from ETH thinking, the DeFi space, all of this kind of stuff. So I have nothing against it. I think that over time, this whole maximalist narrative will disappear. But the bridge is there to sort of thaw that relationship out. It's not about political history or anything like that. It's about being able to get the most out of each of these liquidity pools. The two largest liquidity pools in crypto, ETH, number 2, and Cardano, number 3. And if we can build that connection between them, then it gives us a bi-directional narrative, right? People can come on to Cardano if there's a particular project or product or something that they want there, and then go back across. And likewise, you can go on to Ethereum and get what you want and come back. And so we want to see not so much these kind of L1 narratives of Cardano versus Ethereum, but an L2 narrative or an L3 narrative where people are focused on the applications that are getting the most out of each of these different liquidity pools, not sort of living this kind of religious, you know, either or kind of thinking.
That's a good point. There is, you know, as human beings, we tend towards tribalism. The investor side of us, why does it matter what chain it's on? Because really we're looking at the right solutions, right? So I don't have a bias as to whether it's on Ethereum or Cardano. I weigh in what are transaction fees and what are transaction times. So one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of Cardano, I do like the transparency that has been come along with the Cardano ecosystem and this sense of openness. I also like the idea of fast transaction times and really, really low transaction fees. And so why wouldn't I love Cardano? It's amazing. But that doesn't, loving Cardano, I don't hope the Polkadot ecosystem fails, because who knows what application could come on top of Polkadot. So you want to be able to have your finances, your liquidity, be able to move interoperably between the different chains to get like what Meld's creating and some of the technology that you're creating with the different types of loans really has my attention. That's amazing. And you need something with low transaction costs, low transaction fees to be able to offer such good products to people. And it's really exciting what you're creating. And so very interested in what Meld's doing, and being able to have a lot of liquidity there, as well as pull out liquidity from there and then move it to the other applications that are interesting to me. So absolutely love your solutions. Van, Lucas, I find that really fascinating what you were doing, because I imagine you're having a lot of projects come to you and they're like, well, we would like to launch our token. Right now, we're probably going to launch it in ERC20. But essentially, you can give them the option to bring it right onto Polygon so that they can decrease their transaction costs of their initial raise. And then you built the bridge for them to migrate over to Cardano when it's ready, because it's not yet ready.
Exactly. I think that there are two options there. Mainly, you can either do it ERC20 native, so live on Ethereum chain. The main reason why you want to launch from the beginning is as we said, there's a fundraising aspect, right? Apart from the ultimate utility, if it depends on the project, right, and what they're doing. If it's a gaming project, they want to be as live as soon as possible. If it's a project that actually is building like tooling or something, they're probably going to need at least 6 months after launching the token to do something with it, right? So that time they're able to start building, but their token is still on an exchange, right? And then you're playing with that speculative value of the token. And the best place to do that today is still on an Ethereum DEX. So more specifically, Uniswap. And if we look at BSC, like Binance Chain, that's going to be on Pancake. And there's, I think the volume is like 10 times as much as you would find on Polygon. And so you still need to think again. I think what Ken mentioned there on the liquidity, this isn't a politics game. This is purely a game of where is the liquidity and where do I get users? And if that means I need to go through a bridge, then that's what we need to use. And I think that was kind of the logic. We don't want to, take someone's business. We don't want to, say this chain is better than the other one. We're literally very objective in this aspect and say we both have our missions and our goals, right? Our short-term goal is to get users and to get their liquidity and make sure that they can invest in great projects. And Meld's goal is to find liquidity to be able to, power their borrowing and lending protocol. And this is a very pragmatic approach. It's like you said, we're going where the money is, and we're building the solution that's going to empower that. And I think that is what a bridge is all about, right? If you look at the most basic aspect of an atomic swap is you take a token that lives on one chain and you put it to another chain, whether that be, the Binance Smart Chain, whether that be Ethereum, Polygon, or Cardano. And we're nothing different. We're just making sure that someone does it.
So I had a question for both of you, and maybe Ken, you could go first. Both of you are businessmen, and you were looking at delivering some products and some value, and you both chose to go to Cardano, even though smart contracts weren't live. Why, when you were evaluating all the different routes you could go, did you choose Cardano?
We chose Cardano because smart contracts were not live. We chose Cardano because if we were to try and launch this in Ethereum, we would be a very, very small fish in a very, very big sea with lots and lots of sharks. And going on to Cardano, in addition to the fact that it had higher capital efficiency, which was a requirement, they also had, at the time, the fourth largest liquidity or market cap of all the blockchains. So we saw that there was a business opportunity here for us to build this technology, build this primitive in the DeFi space on Cardano to be able to take advantage of all of that liquidity. If we were going on some other sort of much smaller chain, obviously there'd be less liquidity. If we were going on Ethereum, a lot more liquidity, but many, many more players in the space. Would be much harder for us to compete, and also it wouldn't have any of that capital efficiency.
I did see that as you were putting this together, you happened to get some of the top Cardano programmers over to Meld, which is an amazing accomplishment, because I imagine there are thousands of teams and projects fighting for people with that kind of background.
That was a lucky shot. That was purely by accident. So I was looking for a Haskell programmer for a completely different project in 2020. And I talked to 3 or 4 Haskell programmers. It was on a Cardano. And then I met Hai, and Hai and I sort of hit it off. And we started talking every morning. And within about a month or so, it was both a combination of I have a lot of technical skills, but I'm not a programmer. Hai has a lot of business skills, but he is a programmer, most definitely. And I had the idea of what I wanted the basics of Meld to be. He had a team of 5 Haskell programmers. Who has a team of 5 Haskell programmers? And so
Just
it was,
handy, right? Just like you have a coin.
it was like, how do you, it was like a match made in heaven. How, I had the domain name, I had the concept, and we just kind of, it just fit together perfectly. So it became something where, it was almost, we couldn't ignore it. And from my perspective, I saw it as, this is the only shot you're going to get when it comes to this. When do you meet this kind of situation? A really, really good, clever, humble, solid programmer who has a team of developers who really wants to partner up. And so then I committed everything to it, and we just ran as fast as we could.
Yeah, you've had a lot of wins along the way in a short amount of time, and I look for that. Really, I look for solid leadership as an investor myself, and that's why when I met you, I was like, I think this project's going to go really far, because I was like, Ken is probably the right guy to make all these things happen, and he can attract the type of people to his project to make this happen. My personal feelings.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, it's the way we look at it is, it's taken 25 years to have an overnight success. It's not, this is a culmination. We do a lot of marketing and a lot of branding, which I have 25 years of experience doing. We're doing a lot of technical stuff with lots of different organizations, dealing with lots of VCs. I've been running my own company and sold 2 of them for the past 15 years. So all of this past experience has kind of led to the ability to take advantage of this magic moment. I think that had this come about and I was, 24 or 25 without that experience, I would have probably made lots of other mistakes where I wouldn't have been able to capture that.
Lucas, now why did you make the choice to take Vent to the Cardano ecosystem?
For us, there's 2 aspects. One is when we entered the space, we didn't enter crypto with the goal of using crypto for a specific reason. We came with a very clear problem we wanted to solve and a very clear solution that we had in mind. And then we just happened to use the Cardano blockchain as the driver to our solution. So initially, actually, if you look at the story behind Vent, when we were working on it in November, we were thinking of just having a web app, being able to connect the investors, kind of like an Airbnb for the projects and the investors. And because we had that very clear vision and we knew what we wanted, nothing could kind of distract us from that goal. And I think that that's very, very important, because you're able to get lost very quickly in, I've raised a lot of money, or I've got a lot of users, or don't worry, I'm going to build this later on. And so by having that focus, I would say that laser focus on the product, then we were able to be very pragmatic. Like Ken said, is like we were prepared, we had a plan, and we knew what we wanted. And then it was a question of taking a checklist and being objective. Can we do this on ETH? No, we can't. Can we do this on, Polygon? Potentially we could. Can we do this on Cardano? Absolutely. And this is aligned. This is the long-term goal: scalability, interoperability, etc. And so we'd been following this for 3-4 years. All the development that had been happening, all the research that had been happening, and we were like, you have to run, because you have to run within the crypto space, but you have to run knowing where you're running and knowing how you run. Are you wearing the proper trainers? Are you wearing the proper shoes? Do you have enough, coding with you? Or, hey, actually, do you need to take off some codes, right? You have to be lean, you have to be fast, but very strategic. And I think that, Ken was able to kind of address that in the right way. I obviously don't have 25 years of experience, but we have considerable experience within the team building these type of projects and knowing what resources and partners to get onto. And that's kind of what we did. We came into the space, we found the 5, most important partners that we needed. We, found an amazing launchpad that we kind of aspired to become, and that was DAOmaker. We got, their advice. We were able to do an SHO with them. We were able to learn from the best in ETH, hopefully to build the best in Cardano. And I think that, being so young in the space allows us to do that. That's what Ken said. There's nothing in Cardano yet. Yes, there are players, but how long have those players been here? 6 months, 8 months, right? And so there's still everything to be created here. And I think that that's the opportunity that we're all trying to, leverage.
Yeah, the field's still wide open, the ADA ecosystem. In fact, I have community members that are constantly asking me, what projects are on the Cardano ecosystem that are live that I can buy their token right now? And it's like, Not a lot, actually.
No,
You know,
not a
so I
lot.
go through a very small list that are already out in token. It's because the ecosystem's so wide open still. But there's a lot coming that way, and I see it on the back end. A lot of attention, a lot of projects. There's some secretly making deals to come over to Cardano from other ecosystems because they're looking forward to what's there. So it's going to be some exciting times this year. Really looking forward to what the next 6 to 9 months bring us, and the kind of craziness, and then probably we'll see some crazy momentum followed by probably a crazy retracement, and then it's the working phase, right? During, if we have another crypto winter, which we always have had, and then the projects that, you know, that have the leadership and that have raised their funds but used their funds successfully continue to push through and develop so that the next run they do absolutely amazing and the space pushes forward yet again. So I'm looking forward to not only the next 6 months but the next 4 to 5 years and what's going to happen in the space, because really Raoul Paul did a video on it. It's like an hour and a half. He talks about the network effects of what's happening with cryptocurrency and how it will change the entire face of the world, and most people don't realize it yet, and he explains very succinctly how that is happening even though people aren't noticing. It's kind of the way internet changed the world, but now we have like internet 3.0, and because crypto has allowed so many things to be able to be possible on the internet that just weren't before, and so it'll change the world in so many ways that we don't even yet know. It's almost like the early days of the internet. Do you remember when universities were so excited because they had figured out how to get their computers to call each other, right? Which was the early days of the internet, and this was so amazing. And my friend, I was in the military at the time going to training for them, and we figured out how to dial into the university, get on this thing called the internet, and you know, it was so complex, confusing. I'm like, oh, you know, this is weird. We'd call into a computer on there and it connects us to this bigger thing called the internet, and we had no idea how it would change the whole world. So that now, you know, my wife and I were at the office last night trying to decide what we were going to eat, and she just pulls up her phone, orders some food that's then delivered 15 minutes later from any number of restaurants from a phone, all happening over the internet. And where crypto is going to change everything is exciting.
Yeah, it's nice to be a part of this kind of state of flux, and I think this is what sort of attracts all of us to it, is this standing at the edge of a void that, you know, and the road is being built as we are sort of walking 1 foot forward. And I think that that's something that you can find as a characteristic, a common characteristic among everybody in this space. We for some reason gravitate towards that level of newness, and I think that that's really, it helps to sort of bind the community together.
And there's some projects there, right, that we, I think, that are good examples of that, right? I mean, we were looking at specifically for Automatic when we were building the list of people we want to partner with. This isn't a journey you do alone, and people have tried to do that before, right, in the past on other chains, right? So you look at these projects, and you said when winters come, winters are really hard, and it kind of decides which are the good projects and the bad ones. I was kind of looking at the Chainlink chart the other day, and they're a great example of what happened even in 2020. I'm looking at their numbers now. They're kind of like in the $10 mark, even under, like sub 10, they're like $8, right? And now you look at them, and in they're like all times high, they're like $52. It's crazy how, if you're able to, I think it's just stick to it, you know, keep working, and make sure that you're able to be lean and objective with what you're doing. That's really going to change the result of how we revolutionize the space, right? And accelerate the adoption of it, because that's what we're all trying to do. If we're able to get, I don't know, 20%, 30% growth in users, not just in numbers, but in users, right? Getting people that are just on Coinbase today and that haven't done anything within DeFi, if we're able to actually get them to use lending protocols or invest in projects instead of just leaving it on their stock, then that's going to be, you know, really cool for us in general, I would say, as an industry.
And crypto now has something we didn't have in 2018, which is use cases, right? Because Ethereum was still pretty new, smart contracts were new. DeFi hadn't even really been fully discovered in 2018, which was the beginning of the crypto winter from the last cycle. So we don't really know how this one will play out. Now, generally, I think there will be some pullbacks, but what was interesting about the last crypto winter is two projects that had some very strong use cases did not get hugely punished in the crypto winter, and that's Binance's token BNB actually appreciated. At the beginning of crypto winter it was $6, and at the end it was like 16. And I know those aren't huge numbers, but that's while many altcoins pulled back 95 to 99%. So not only did it not pull back, it appreciated. But they had a solid use case and continued to make their use case strong during the crypto winter. Chainlink as well, before they were $10, they were like 50 cents in like 2018 or 2019. And so they appreciated tremendous amounts during the crypto winter. And there are only a few cases like that, but this cycle we might see a lot more of that, and it has to do with which use cases are strong during the crypto winter that people are still using. And what you're seeing is more use of the use cases within crypto. There weren't a lot of use cases that were ready in 2018, but now there are. So we'll see. My guess is some projects might get hit initially, but then continue strong and continue to do well as far as their token price during that time. I think also during that time, a lot of projects will further the technology. So we'll see a lot of innovations continue to come out of that time, so that 4 years from now, the space will look entirely different yet again. And we'll look back at this year and we'll be like, wow, the technology was so basic back then. So
I mean, I think that the bear market is a great time to build in. It's when things calm down, when you can start to really build core infrastructure. That's what you saw in the last bear market. You had these companies that really were able to demonstrate. You know, Polygon's a perfect example, right? They were able to build all their technology, get it all up and running, and get all the infrastructure in place to be able to deploy and then take advantage of the bull market. And I see sort of this is how we're looking at it as well. We have our H1 goals, our Horizon 1, like right in front of us, but then we have our H3 goals as well, which are out these 4 or 5 years. And our H3 or 4 goals they're massive, they're huge, and our H1 goals are realistic. And so you need to have both of those in place in order to be able to know to navigate your path through that bear market.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate both of you coming on tremendously and sharing not only with the audience, but with other projects out there, the tech that you built in this ADA-matic bridge, so that not only you guys can use it with your project, but you've opened it up so that other projects can use it, which pushes this space forward. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And if there are other projects out there that want to participate in ADA-matic, please reach out to Vent or Meld. We're happy to talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Now, I've got a wrap prepared for my audience. My audience knows that I focus on investing, and this wrap just reinforces the principles. It's just a fun way. So I'm going to send them over to wrap. This is version 1. This was also remastered, but a little bit different from the other versions that you've heard.
Check. I came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you're bad before you're good. Was taught to buy when it was boring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I missed. I always made the time in mind. I sit that one out cause I'm patient like that, and I'll wait for the right time. I'll sell when it's high, I'll buy when it's low. They'll call me rich, they'll call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker, running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple and they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I'll sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I be selling, go parabolic then dump it. They call me rich, they'll call me smart. Cause I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. On with the future, learning the past. Making time fly by, going so fast. The game plan is mine, mine, I'll own it now. And when I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The timing's never better, the time at the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge to gain show. Sticking out this run, cause soon will come a bear market. Keep learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. I'm sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be friends. 2 years time, the bull will bring back the gains and make it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go with the hate and let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The timing is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart, cause I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past, making time fly by, going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. And when I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, no time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who's new, but I got a vision bigger helping me to push through. But I'm still human, sometimes it is rough. That's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.